It is Mel Robbins. I'm so glad that you're here. If you are just catching this by happenstance and you don't know me, I'm a best-selling author. I also teach a ton of online courses about confidence, about unlocking the power in you, anxiety, all kinds of life skills they don't teach in schools. I also host the daytime syndicated talk show, The Mel Robbins Show, which airs nationwide in the United States as a daytime advice talk show. And given that we're not on set making a television show, I am here right now with you, giving you coaching and advice and the encouragement and the tools that you need to move your life forward, even though you may feel super stuck right now based on what's going on in the world with COVID-19. I know the main question you're going to ask, but before I answer your main question, I want you to answer mine. Where are you watching from? Put it in the comments. And also, let's do a quick check-in, because my big thing is about teaching you self-awareness, because I think it's a superpower. 0 to 10, how are you feeling today and why? So get into the comments. Let's get you present to this conversation. Where are you watching from? And 0 to 10, how are you feeling and why? I am today, honestly, I have to say something about this. I'm a 10. It's the first time I've been a 10 since this pandemic started. I had a massive anxiety attack 2 days ago where I felt like a 1, and I moved through it. And we actually put up a video about it in the last day or two that you should totally check out, because I filmed the video as the panic attack was still happening so that I could show you and talk about what it feels like. And since I've faced that anxiety attack, the first one I've ever had in 6 years, and grounded myself and really moved through it, I am back in action. I am empowered. And I can say that even though it's pouring rain where I am, and I've got a million things that I have not gotten to, and my ADD is off the charts, my mood is so positive because I faced a very uncertain feeling in my body, and I moved through it, and that is so empowering. And so I want you to know that you can face uncertainty and discomfort and even things that are terrifying, and you can witness it. You can let those feelings rise up. You can name those feelings, and then you can do small things to have those feelings dissipate. And I know one of the things that makes you feel particularly stuck in your life and frustrated is having this sense that there's something more fulfilling that you want to be doing with your life, and yet you don't know how quite to make it happen. That maybe you're here and you have this vision for things being here, so how do you close the gap? That's the nature of the question that Rebecca in Chicago has. We're going to go to her in just a second. But it's about when you're looking for something that is very fulfilling in terms of work. When do you take a job because you got to take a job? And when do you take a risk and really go for it and hold out for something that really fulfills you? That's what we're going to attack today. And I have a suspicion that there will also be some advice that we cover about just searching and looking for a job in the middle of a pandemic. So let's go to Chicago, where Rebecca is standing by on her iPhone. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So I kind of summarized your question, but first of all, 0 to 10, how are you doing today and why?
I'm about a 5. I'm feeling hopeful, trying to stay positive, but there is just a little bit of that creeping anxiety and panic that's always under the surface, though.
And what is your panic about specifically?
Kind of like what you said in the question. My situation is that I lost my job due to my position being eliminated, and I just have these two conflicting stories going on, where the first is use this opportunity of unemployment, you know, to go for my passion and just really pursue the dream job that I have. And this other one is, you know, the other story is like, no, this is the middle of a pandemic. Just like get a job, get something, get financial security, you know, make a lateral move and figure out the dream job later, you know, and just, yeah, it's been rough. I don't really know kind of what my strategy is supposed to be.
Well, first of all, let me ask everybody, give me some thumbs up or some hearts if you can relate to this. People are already like, yeah, that's me. Because I think as of this week, 20 million people, at least in the United States, have been laid off. And so there are a lot of people in your position, jobs being eliminated, people being furloughed, companies shutting down. And so this is no joke, and it's a really important question. How does this overwhelm about, do I just get a job and just find a job, or do I really hold out and go for the thing that I want and use this time to really invest in that? How does thinking about that tension impact you?
Constant anxiety all the time, like not sleeping very well, just because I feel like I'm only one person. I only have one day, and each of those strategies requires something different of me, you know, and it's just, right. Yeah. I don't know how to split my time up. And so I just feel like, but I can't do nothing. Right. So it just feels like this, I don't know. Like I just feel a little paralyzed almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what? I love this topic, and here's why. I'm in the middle of researching decision making. And how none of us have been trained to truly make decisions that are conscious and courageous and that choose our dreams and choose our values. And most of us make decisions out of fear or out of panic. And when you get into a mode where you have one decision, which is, I need to put my head down and get a damn job, versus another decision, which is, I need to spend the time that I have right now really investing in laying the foundation for the path I want to go down. Those two decisions are at odds with one another, which is why you're paralyzed. And so it is your fear, I'm fucked if I don't get a job, versus your dreams and your heart and your soul and your wisdom that are at war with one another. And what I want to do on this call is I want to bring your decision-making into alignment with your hopes and dreams without it being irresponsible, and so that you can focus and not have yourself second guessing if this is the right thing to focus on. Make sense?
Yes, I would love that.
Amazing. So when you say go for your dream, just so I have a little context, is this a complete career switch, or what does that actually mean?
It's not a complete switch. It is a bit of a shift though. I'm in grad school and I've been taking on projects to kind of get me ready. So I feel like I've started to kind of lay the baseline. So it's not like I have going into it with nothing. But it is something to where I haven't actually had like a title in a department that I'm going for.
And what is your dream job?
I want to work in corporate social responsibility and community impact.
Fantastic. Yeah. I would think that there's a lot of opportunity to be doing that, given how corporations want to reach back right now.
Yeah. They're typically pretty small teams right now, I've been seeing.
Yep, but that doesn't mean you can't infiltrate one. So here's what I would recommend. I think you should always go for the thing that your heart is begging you to do. And the reason why I say that is not necessarily because you're going to get it. It's because there's something that comes alive in you when you make a courageous and intentional decision that you're going to choose your dreams over fear. And so how do you do that? How do you do it in a pandemic? How do you do it when you've just been laid off? How do you do it when you're in grad school? Here's what you're going to do. First of all, you're really smart because you've been laid off, you have severance, and I understand that you have faced the math of the situation and you've figured out how long of a runway you have, right? So how long of a runway do you have?
I probably have maybe the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so you got 3 or 4 months. And does that mean you're going to run completely out of money?
I would have to, that's how long my severance and then part of the savings would give me. Yeah, I might be able to stretch it a little bit longer than that.
Okay, so let's just say it's 4 months. So first things first, everybody, here's the first takeaway. The second you lose your job, you have got to create a financial roadmap that shows you how long of a runway you have. And if there's any chance to extend the runway by eliminating expenses or moving back in with your folks or whatever it may be, your dreams are worth that kind of thing. The second thing I would say is that I would put a deadline on your focus of only trying to find work or even an internship or a volunteer position in the area of your dreams. I would give yourself, if it were me, I would give myself 2 solid months to do nothing but try to crack open the pathway into this dream, passion, purpose kind of job of corporate responsibility. And I would look at everything that is sort of connected to it, whether it's being inside a corporation or being a person that manages partnerships on behalf of nonprofits, or if it's somebody that is in a grant writing thing that connects people or something that is connected to it. I would spend 2 months, I would spend 7 days a week, I would pour myself into it. And what are you looking for? You're looking to make connections. You're looking to make not only connections that are people connections, but connections about the industry, connections about what platforms people are using, connections about what companies are doing more, connections about what kind of nonprofits people are really gravitating towards right now, connections about the patterns that you're seeing. This is a 2-month immersion project. If at the end of 2 months, which would be basically near the end of June, which is a lot of time, if at the end of June, you don't have any headway, you're not optimistic at all, that's when you go to plan B. And plan B simply means it's not that you're giving up on continuing to push this ball down the field. It means that you are making a decision at the end of June that you will start looking for full-time employment no matter what it is, as soon as that happens.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that may be an incredible opportunity for you right now is I was talking to a friend of mine who has had a career in development, particularly in science and medicine. And she is so buried with work because so many people now want to put corporate money, family money, donation money behind research around COVID-19. So you might be able to, because of the increase of demand on development officers, to be able to find yourself a role, even as an intern, supporting a development office at a university, maybe the one that you're attending, where there's research going on, because there is so much interest in funding these scientists and researchers who are working on this problem, that what my friend says, first of all, she's never been working harder. And secondly, that most of the red tape and the proposals and all the thing that used to take months and months and months, that is now being expedited. And so there's a quickness to it. Now, why is that relevant? It's not a job inside of a corporation, but you might come in contact with a corporation while you're supporting a development officer. This is where the money is. This is where the work is right now. And so when I said, I want you to make connections as you're networking, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, that follow sort of the flow of where the social responsibility money's going, give up the idea that it's got to be in a corporation, and see where can I put myself in the lane where I can be doing work that supports that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does.
Okay, terrific.
Sometimes I have like a version of what I think it's supposed to look like, and I can get stuck on it, but, kind of expanding the definition of like what working in this area would look like.
Because I love that you said that, because you think that the role, I wish I had a Sharpie, but I don't. You think the role looks like that. But in any single profession, right, there's what you could call an ecosystem. There's an ecosystem that takes place in any profession. So social responsibility, there are the corporations that donate. There are the development officers inside of universities and inside of nonprofits that negotiate those relationships. There are agencies that specialize in helping companies like the big consumer products companies place their money in a campaign. There are media companies that create content around this kind of thing. There are marketing agencies. There are grant writers. And so if you think about it more like, how do I get into this ecosystem? Your search suddenly expands. And so the next 2 months is about figuring out every kind of player that is in the ecosystem that you're drawn to. Because what you may find is you may hate the corporate responsibility job. There must be way too much red tape. You might be a very entrepreneurial person. You may love being in the agency side that dreams up all of these connections. I don't know. You don't know. You won't know until you get there. The other piece of advice that I want to give to you and to you watching is that I want to be very clear about something. The best jobs have nothing to do with your title or with what you're doing. The best jobs are the ones where you work for the best bosses. And so keep in mind that you are not only looking for a position, you're looking for somebody to work for. And so that interpersonal connection about the person that you are working with is super important too. And too many of us discount that, and we get our dream job and then we get into it with a nightmare culture or a nightmare micromanager, and then suddenly we hate it. And the final thing, and I want to commend you on this because I know that you were on LinkedIn yesterday networking your face off, and you were on a call with somebody networking. 80% of jobs are not listed. And right now, anybody that is receiving corporate donations or development dollars to work on COVID-19, they are so busy, they have no time to post a job rec. And so you should spend 80% of the time networking, talking to people, reaching out to people, all that kind of stuff. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Do you have any other questions?
That kind of covered it. I feel like I'm going to set aside a good chunk of time to just go all in.
All right, great. So what did you get specifically from this conversation?
I think that I owe it to myself to pursue my passion, in any capacity that I can, while I can, at least for the next 2-3 months, and to just broaden my idea of what it means to even work in the area that I want. I think I can develop myself and gain really valuable skills in other positions than maybe just the one title that I'm honing in on. So
no question, because it's all about relationships. That business is all about relationships. Every business is. And so if you get to the ecosystem and you land anywhere in it, you're going to create the relationships that will carry you forward as you figure out where you personally belong in the ecosystem. Got it? Awesome. Good. Great job. Very proud of you for doing your financial runway and networking. And this date that you're setting should disappear your anxiety, because you know that you've got a timeline you can count on. Got it?
No, I appreciate it.
Keep me posted, all right?
Thank you. Okay.
Awesome. Now, let me just recap the advice for you watching. Number one, if you've been laid off, the number one thing you need to have to do right away, get your financial house in order. You got to face the numbers. You got to see how long your runway is, and that will give you a timeline that will dictate the right decision to make. And the right decision to make is always the courageous and intentional decision. And so if you don't have a big runway and you got bills to pay, the right decision to make is the financially responsible one, so you can take care of the things and the obligations that you have. Unless you can downsize, unless you can cut expenses and extend that runway for your search, the right decision is the one that takes care of your obligations and keeps you safe with a place to live and with food to eat. But if you can have a runway where you've got time to look, the right decision is to align with your values and dreams and to spend some time searching for the kind of work that you dream about doing and the kind of industry you dream about being in. And what did I say about the search? The search is about looking for the patterns. It's about identifying the ecosystem of players and companies and different service providers that are in that ecosystem. Because if you're making a switch, you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself in the ecosystem first versus pinpointing on just one little job. It makes the opportunity to network that much greater. And speaking of networking, 80% of jobs are never even listed. And so 80% of your time is where you should spend networking. I mean, you should spend 80% of your time networking, because that's going to reveal the kind of jobs in the ecosystem you're looking for. And then, of course, when the date comes up and you don't have what you thought you would have, then it's time to keep the promise to yourself and make a decision to get that job so that you can be responsible and not stressed out and anxious, and pay your bills. I hope that helps. If you have any question, you need coaching, just go straight to the number below, send me a text. You'll get a text back that's automated. Reply to opt in. You're now in my community coaching platform, not coaching, texting platform. I don't spam you. This is where I connect directly with you. And it's also where we take your questions and we connect with you to get you on this live stream in case you want to talk to me live. So I think that's it. I hope that helps. And in case nobody else tells you, I love you. I believe in you. You can get through this. You will get through this. And please, dear God, with that extra time that you've suddenly got on your hands right now, invest it in yourself. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.